Hi angels, this will be the chapter 36 of You Are My Heroes by Lavender Thoughts 21 on AO3. After their snack, the boys returned outside to the bowl lying in the center of the yard. Bakugo picked it up and did his cool tricks again before tossing it to Todoroki. Like this? Shoto questioned, mimicking Bakugo's moves perfectly. Bakugo nodded, a little jealous from the way Todoroki got the trick down the first time, but he kept that emotion down. So cool, I can't do that, Izuku pouted as Todoroki passed the ball to him. Attempting the trick again, Izuku didn't trip on himself this time, but still failed. How about a different game? Something you can all do together. Aizawa suggested from afar, sensing that Izuku might feel incompetent if they continued the way they were going. How about keep up? Midoriya asked enthusiastically. Keep up? Shoto questioned. Yeah, easy. Gotta keep the ball up, Izuku said, grabbing the ball and tossing it up to the sky. Bakugo was quick to take his turn, hitting the ball up as it returned down. Todoroki saw the pattern and understood the game, hitting the ball up when it was his turn. Yeah, like that, Izuku said, bouncing the ball in the air back at Katsuki. Bakugo amped up the game, bouncing the ball toward Todoroki's direction but further away. Seeing this, Shoto ran to the ball and stretched out his hand to bounce it, barely making it before the ball hit the ground. Heads up Midoriya, Todoroki warned as his bounce was inaccurate toward the kid's location. Izuku ran to the ball, hitting it up and towards Bakugo, who easily bounced it away. Todoroki made his way back in time to hit it again, this time higher and in between the two other boys to see who would hit it first. Bakugo took his chance and reached the ball before Izuku, launching the ball up towards Todoroki. To keep it fair, Shoto bounced the ball back to Izuku, who quickly bounced it back. Todoroki knew there was a skill gap between Bakugo and Midoriya, so for the blonde he tossed it higher and further to create more of a challenge. Katsuki stumbled back and jumped up to reach the ball mid-air and bounced it up to control the momentum. Katsuki smirked as he recognized that Shoto was doing that on purpose to make the game more fun for him. Bakugo's second hit was more forceful, giving Todoroki the same treatment of equity. Seizing the challenge, Todoroki chased after the ball and hit it mid-air as Bakugo did, this time putting a lighter touch as he passed it to Izuku. I got it! Izuku shouted in glee as he stumbled around to get the ball. Todoroki's precise and momentum-killing bounce made it easier for Midoriya to hit it up, ensuring the game would continue. Still, the green-haired boy tried to match their pace, hitting the ball further away from where Bakugo to challenge him. Struggling Bakugo jumped for it, the ball barely grazing his fingertips, but he launched it just a couple feet up. Unfortunately, since he landed on his tummy, he couldn't get up in time to hit it again. To Bakugo's surprise, Todoroki had made his way over, bouncing the ball just in time to keep it in the game. Nice save! Izuku squealed as he witnessed the boy's full speed being on display in a game other than chasing him. Todoroki smiled at the praise of his ability. It sounded different coming from someone who meant it. Shoto passed the ball to Izuku, who bounced it up 2 times so Bakugo could up before bouncing it to him. They continued the game, recognizing each other's skill level and using different tactics in accordance with it. Izuku would get the easy tosses, but Bakugo and Todoroki pushed each other's limits, keeping the ball in the air by a hair at times. He's actually having fun, Taishiro said in awe as he saw a light in the boy's eyes, a consistent smile on Shoto's face as he played with the boys. The game continued for a long while, the boys working as a team to keep the ball off the ground, but also testing the limits of their ability to make the game more challenging. Once they found a rhythm, one of the boys would change it to avoid repetition. Steadily, they increased the difficulty, tossing the ball higher and faster. Overall, the game made them accomplished and connected in their teamwork effort to not lose. They found it satisfying the longer they kept the ball in play. The first time the ball touched the ground, it was Izuku's turn. The green-haired boy had accidentally tossed the ball behind him instead of forwards toward the others. For a second, Todoroki's smile faltered, but he couldn't stay upset at the boy. Again, Izuku yelled out, running to the ball giggling as he got ready to start the game anew. Shoto's smile returned as he saw the excitement on the kid's face, wanting to continue the fun game. The game of Keep Up lasted a long time, all the boys enjoying it immensely for the continuing, changing rhythm and pace. Now and then they would drop the ball, but Izuku would eagerly start the game up again. It was winter, so it wasn't exactly hot out, but the sun was still out. Taishiro kindly got a jar of water along with a couple of cups from the house and made them take water breaks to hydrate them. It's about we have lunch, isn't it? Aizawa questioned as he watched the kids play. Don't have to tell me twice. I'll go ahead and cook and call you when it's ready, Taishiro said, heading back into the house and leaving Aizawa to watch over the kids. Their current game lasted the longest without dropping the ball, a record of 15 minutes, without a mistake. Aizawa was impressed by Todoroki's athleticism, reaching amazing heights as he bounced the ball back like a volleyball. Bakugo was also impressive, catching Shoto's amazing tosses and being able to change the pace for Izuku. Midoriya wasn't as talented as the others but showed clear improvement. In time, if he wanted to, Izuku could catch up, but for now it was natural talent versus his hard work. After another half hour in which they lost their record and started up again, Taishiro came out of the house wearing a yellow apron, reading Professional Taste Tester. Aizawa arched an eyebrow at his friend, knowing full well the regular apron the big man wore was black, and said, "Kiss the cook," in pink letters. "What? That other one is inappropriate," Taishiro said defensively, reading his friend's mind. Aizawa rolled his eyes, secretly impressed at Toyomitsu's attention to detail when it came to his job. "Come in, youngins. Lunch is being served hot." Tashiro called out, Bakugo losing focus at the mention of food and letting the bowl fall in front of him. "Food. Yummy food to eat," Izuku shouted excitedly, following behind Bakugo as they ran to the adults. Todoroki followed slower behind him, not being enchanted by the promise of a hot meal. There was something metaphorical in that. "Yeah, make sure to thank Taishiro for the yummy meal you're about to eat," Aizawa said, teaching them manners. "Thank you, Taishio," Izuku said out loud, the blonde nodding in agreement. "Come on, Bakugo, use your words." "You gotta practice that speech of yours," Aizawa told the blonde, who huffed in annoyance. The man didn't want him relying on his quiet communication. "Thank you," Bakugo mumbled his words, but it was good enough for the man for now. "Are you boys hungry yet?" Aizawa asked his kids, and on cue, Bakugo's stomach growled. "Poor things. Don't worry, lunch is ready to eat." "Being hungry is unbearable," Taishiro reassured, but Todoroki straightened at the last word. Grabbing a hold of the now bandageless side of his face, Todoroki grimaced in pain. It didn't hurt until now, not until that word was uttered. "You okay, Sho?" Taishiro asked, seeing a wide-eyed expression on the kid's face. "I'm okay," Shoto told him, sucking up his emotions and taking his hand off his face, following everyone inside the house. "Aizawa, go ahead and serve your kids. I'm going to rewrap Shoto's bandage. I didn't want it holding in moisture as they played, but I should really cover it back up." Tashiro explained and led his kid to the living room to sit him down and apply his medication. By the time they came back to the table, Aizawa had set up everyone's plates, even Shoto's and Taishiro's. That being said, Izuku was last to get his plate, anxiously waiting as he saw the others get served on white ceramic plates. "Don't worry, Izuku, I got your plate right here," Aizawa said, taking out Izuku's preferred divided plate from his computer bag. Bakugo waited, anxiously biting his chew as he waited for his friend to be served. Cruel on Aizawa's part, but it was intentional. He wanted Bakugo to break his habit of eating only after the green boy. "It's chicken, broccoli, and white rice. It's really good and healthy for you, Shoto. Try it." Taishiro encouraged the boy to eat his food, but Todoroki had an unsure face. "Hey!" Bakugo called out as Aizawa sat Izuku's plate down. "What is it?" Aizawa asked, and barely caught the metal fork Bakugo threw to the ground. "Bakugo, we don't throw things." Aizawa scolded, and the boy huffed, chewing on his crystal. Normally he would be chewing on a plastic fork as he waited for Izuku. "Oh, I get it. Sorry, Bakugo. Still, you should not throw stuff," Aizawa scolded, pulling out Bakugo's plastic fork from his book bag. Izuku learned his lesson from the morning and quickly took a bite from his plate, a piece of chicken that was cut up into bites for them. Bakugo, seeing his friend begin eating, hurriedly started on his own plate. "It's yummy," Izuku stated, tasting the seasonings Taishiro used and deeming it flavorful. "Come on, Sho. Your friends are eating it. Why don't you take a bite?" Taishiro encouraged, and Shoto nervously picked up his fork and grabbed a piece. Taking a bite of the food, Shoto's eyes widened at the intense, flavorful taste, his mouth watering as he took another 2 bites, but refused another bite of the chicken. Shoto moved on to the broccoli, eating the pieces without the sauces Taishiro provided, and some of the rice. It was plain rice too. But that was it. "Not hungry?" Izuku asked as he saw Todoroki push away his plate. "It's different. I don't think I'm allowed to eat the good-tasting stuff," Todoroki explained, and Taishiro regretted not cooking a plain piece for Shoto. "You want your soba?" Taishiro asked, and Shoto nodded, eyes shining in anticipation of his favorite meal. Taishiro picked up the boy's plate and dumped the leftovers on his own plate. Taishiro pulled out some freshly made soba. He made as a backup in case he didn't eat his meal and placed it in front of Shoto along with some sides of green onion and the sauce. Unknowingly, Todoroki picked up some viewers. Bakugo watched as he continued eating, curious about what the boy was consuming. Izuku, however, was more interested in the chopsticks, watching Todoroki use them without a struggle. "You good at that?" Izuku praised, catching Todoroki's attention mid-slurp. The chopsticks, I use them all the time, Shoto said, dipping his second bite of noodles into the sauce and slurping it up. Can I try? Can I get the sticks? Midoriya asked, wanting to try his hand on the utensils. Me too, Bakugu spoke up, not wanting to fall behind. But Bakugu, you finished your plate already, Aizawa said, a little concerned about how the blonde devoured his food without him noticing to correct his speed. Want to try some soba? I made lots for show. Taishiro offered and Bakugu nodded. When Taishiro handed Bakugu the plate of soba and a dish of sauce, there was a look of excitement on his face at the thought of trying a new food. Handing him the chopsticks, the blonde clamped them together, but failed to pick up a single noodle. Me too, Midoriya whined as he got forgotten about. Oops, sorry, here you go, bud, Taishiro apologized and handed the kid a pair of chopsticks as well. Midoriya's try on the chopsticks was even more pitiful as the boy struggled to even keep the sticks from overlapping. Bakugu kept looking back to Todoroki and his effortless approach to using the utensils. Observing Shoto's movements and hand placement, Bakugu mimicked it and picked up a piece of soba. Good job, Bakugu, Aizawa praised as Bakugu shakily brought a piece of soba to the sauce, but he was praised too soon. The chopsticks overlapped, and the noodle fell into the sauce. Fuck! Bakugu cursed as he watched the noodle drown in the sauce. All eyes turned to him. Even Todoroki had a surprised look at the boy's use of colorful language. Bakugu, I said no swearing. Those are bad words. Aizawa scolded, and the boy just ignored him, giving a huff before trying to get the noodle out with his shaky chopstick handling. Like this? Izuku asked, managing to get a piece of chicken in between the chopsticks, but his form was all wrong. As long as you get the food in your mouth, that's a win. Taishiro encouraged, and Izuku shakily brought the piece of food to his mouth. Did it, Izuku said, smiling as he chewed on the chicken as he successfully used the chopsticks. Bakugu, on the other hand, was struggling to use the chopsticks correctly. Aizawa thought that he would give up out of frustration and eat the soba with his fork, but the boy was persistent in getting it right. After a couple minutes of struggling, Bakugu finally got a grip on the soba and shakily raised it to his mouth to take a bite. Bakugu made a sharp inhale as an unexpected spicy flavor invaded his senses. Oh man, that must be the wrong sauce. I'm so sorry, Bakugu. Do you want some ice water? Shoot, I'm sorry, Shuta, Taishiro panicked as he apologized. Ironically, almost saying a bad word, he ran to grab a cup of water with ice for the blonde. I ask you to be more careful next time, but it's not a big deal. I think he likes it, don't you, Bakugu? Aizawa asked calmly, and Bakugu nodded. His chopsticks' skills seemed to improve exponentially with the drive of tasty food. Yummy, Bakugu said, picking the soba and dipping it excessively in the spicy sauce. Here you go, kid, Taishiro said, putting the ice water next to Bakugu, but the blonde shook his head. No. Is it really spicy? Aizawa asked, watching Bakugu's eyes water a bit. Just a bit, but for a kid it might be too much. I made a batch of sauce with red pepper paste. It wasn't a lot, so it didn't affect the color much. That's why I didn't catch it being the wrong sauce, Taishiro explained, guilt on his face as he thought about what could have happened if Katsuki didn't like it. Bakugu seems to like spicy food. He swapped his cheeseburger with my spicy chicken sandwich yesterday and loved it, but I think he likes this spicy soba even more, Aizawa admitted, watching Bakugu's face turn red as he overspiced himself, hurriedly drinking some of the ice water Taishiro provided. Soba is pretty yummy, right? Todoroki said, catching everyone off guard with the enthusiasm in his voice. Yummy, Bakugu agreed, slurping up a huge portion of noodles he managed to snag between the chopsticks. Cold soba is my favorite. Todoroki shared the fact about himself, slurping up some noodles loudly to show it to be true. Way to go, Bakugu. You're so good for not being picky, Taishiro complimented, and Aizawa jabbed harshly at the man's side. Ow, what gives? Taishiro said in a whisper, the kid's unaware of the hit. Don't say stuff like that. You're going to make your kid feel ashamed, Aizawa whispered harshly. Taishiro shot a worried eye at Shoto, but Todoroki was none the wiser. Instead, the boy was happily slurping his soba. Izuku was only a third way done with his plate, but saw the cheerful mood Shoto was in and wanted to fit in too. Can I have some? Izuku asked meekly, and Bakugu immediately tried to share his soba. Izuku opened his mouth as the blonde was about to feed him, but Aizawa quickly discouraged it. Let's try some regular soba first. Bakugu's soba might be a little too spicy for you, Aizawa told them, reaching forward and blocking the blonde from sharing his portion. Spicy? Izuku asked, and Bakugu nodded as he ate the noodles he was going to share. Here, have some of mine, Todoroki said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. Shoto expertly used his chopstick skills to grab a single noodle from Midoriya to try and dump it in some normal sauce before giving it to the boy. Izuku opened wide and took a bite, slurping the noodle up and chewing slowly. Yummy! It's nice and cool, Izuku complimented, talking with his mouth full. It must be refreshing after running around outside, Taishiro speculated, getting up to serve a small portion for Midoriya on a separate plate. Can't say the same for Bakugu's, Aizawa chuckled as he watched the boy huff and puff, his eyes watering. But still he continued to dip the soba until it was fully covered in the spicy sauce. Aizawa decided this was a picture-perfect moment and took out his phone, focusing the camera on Bakugu's sniffling nose and taking a shot of the boy's red face. The man chuckled to himself and made a note to add it to the report to show that the kid loved spice. This is the end of chapter 36. I'll see you in chapter 37. If you have suggestions, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to know when the next one is out. Have a good day, angels.